Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Friday, March the 7th, 2025. Well, not a whole lot really went on today. I mean, really? Remember, we left off with Sidwell showing the knife to Alexis, right? And the look on her face, you could tell that that was some kind of trauma, drama, something where that knife was concerned. You can tell it made her uncomfortable, it made her uneasy. She didn't even want to look at it. So you want to know when I knew something was up, everybody? Alexis turned and walked away because he said, yeah, that he found something downstairs. Is what I could do for you. This was your father's estate, right? Well, I found this exquisite piece. Really? Well, finders keepers. You bought the house. House came full of furniture, full of exquisite pieces, right? Everything on the walls was still there, exquisite pieces. And so she looked at it and she turned and she walked away and she goes, I don't know how that could be. And he's turning and he's got it. And he walks in front of her again with it pointed to almost like, here, smell it, here. And she said, that is told her it was cursed. And he goes, well, clearly something must have happened. She goes, this dagger is what Helena Cassadine, my stepmother, used to slit my mother's throat. And he goes, oh, I could see why that would be horrifying. As he has it, still pointing to her, like he's showing her a rare, like, take another look, right? And he goes, can I ask, were you there when it happened? No, you can't ask. Shut the doggone case. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to know it. You can do whatever you want with it. But I threw it in the harbor. I don't know how it ended up back in this house. Years ago, she threw it in the harbor. He then lays it down on the coffee table, open in her direction. And he goes, oh. And so she told him the story. Father fell in love with her mother. Helena found out and came and murdered her mother. And he said, oh, for you to share such a deep, personal, emotional experience with a stranger, that just speaks of. And she's just looking at him. She goes, you know what? Nonetheless, I. He goes, but it's yours. What do you want me to do with it? And Alexis picked up the knife and she held it and she walked around to the other side of the room there. And she said, this is the original knife because I know the weight of it. And I'm thinking, no, Alexis, just like that one knife was made, the same place made another one and another one, probably hundreds of those. They're not one of a kind. You just have to go back to where she had that first one made, right? And so, because you did throw it in the harbor years ago, corrosion, erosion, everything else would have taken its toll on that knife. That's not the same dagger, right? So she then puts it down. She says, I don't want nothing to do with it. You can burn it. You can do whatever you want to do with it. But I don't want it. And matter of fact, I don't even want to be here. She said, because I won't be representing you. Hey, we have no business. We will have no business together, right? And so she walks out the house. With that, he goes, "Oh, I will show you out." She goes, "I absolutely know my way out of here." She leaves, and he offered her a drink. She says, "I don't drink," which Sidwell knows. See, he has done a background check and he knows the story behind everyone, which is probably why he even read and looked up. Could be even before he got there. Alexis, her whole history. It has something to do with the Cassadines. Somebody in comment corner said they think he's a Cassadine. Well, Helena married into the Cassadines. I think he's her relative, either her younger brother, nephew, whatever. I think he's related to Helena. So he would not be a Cassadine. It's Nikos' side that would be Cassadines. So when she leaves, he walks over to the knife. Well, he was actually standing by the knife when she put it down. He picks up the cloth napkin, wraps it around the knife, twirls it around, looks at it, and takes a drink. He wanted her fingerprints for something. Wanted her fingerprints for something, right? On that dagger. So now something Alexis is about to be framed for later, which is going to be interesting. And I do believe she's been framed enough with Harmony, overdosing the guy Neil in her bed. Come on now. Losing her daughter. She's lost enough. But one thing Jens said to Natalia, because she goes, "What business do you have?" And I think he said, "It's not a what, it's a who." And she looked at him. I think it's Alexis. There's something other than what he's doing. Because look, he's doing multiple things. He's a man of all kind of tasks and talents, right? But one thing has to do with Alexis, and we shall find out later what that one thing is. Now we have Lulu. Soon as she walked through the quartermain door, Dante and Brook Lynn were standing there talking. So when she walks in the door, just walks in, she sees them and she immediately gets a stank look on her face, looking at Lulu. And so Dante says, Lulu, can I help you? And so she's just looking at Brook Lynn. And Brook Lynn says, well, you know what? Since you're here, you can make yourself useful. Tracy has just been on one, making everybody's life miserable. Perhaps you could go talk to her, because out of everybody, she listens to you for some reason, you know? And Lulu says, I won't be doing nothing for you. And Brook Lynn looked at her and says, wait, excuse me? After what you've done, I won't be doing anything for you. And Brook Lynn says, you know what, Lulu? Next time you want to come over, why don't you call first? Right? And Brook Lynn goes up the stairs. So Dante looks at Lulu and she goes, I need to speak with you, Dante. No matter what Carly said, no matter what anybody would have said, she was gonna tell Dante no matter what. So Dante looks at her and he says, does this have anything to do with Rocco? And he said, no. does this have anything to do with Charlotte? And she said, no. He said, then it's going to have to wait because I have to go check out a situation with my father. So you're going to have to talk to me another time. And he walks on by her and she's like, oh, mm-hmm. So you know what she does? She takes her scrawny behind upstairs to Lulu's room and just barges in the door. And Lulu says, what are you doing what are you doing in my room? We are gonna talk. And she says, Lulu, I don't have nothing to talk to you about. I'm not even gonna put up with anything you have to say. And she goes, we're gonna talk. She goes, then I'm gonna talk and you're gonna listen. And Brook Lynn looked at her. She goes, you know what? You're a horrible assistant. She says, and you're horrible something else. She was like, I told you to get out of my room. And so Lulu says, I know about Dante's. Wait, I know you had a child with Dante and you gave it up for adoption, and Dante doesn't even know. And Brook Lynn turned around and she looked at her and she's like, do I got your attention now? So Brook Lynn says, you know what, Lulu? I don't know where you got your information from. And she goes, oh, I have information. I even read it in writing. And so she goes, what are you talking about? Oh, to your attorney, from your attorney. That you hired to look for your child. See, there she was stretching. And Lulu says, I don't have an attorney. First and foremost. Yes, you do, Lulu. Do I have to show you? And so she takes out her phone and she shows her one of the pictures. You, Dante Falconeri father, you had an abortion. And Lulu, and BOQ at this point turns away from Lulu. And she says, and it was a boy. And blah, blah, blah. And Brook Lynn said, I had a son? And Lulu's behind her and she's looking like, don't you play like you didn't, know. And she says, I never knew the sex of my baby. I never even held, and Brook Lynn's cry, I never even held my baby because it would have been too painful. She said, I made the choice that was best for me at the time. And she says, and Lulu, you did the same thing. You and I were the same age when you got pregnant. You had an abortion. She goes, because that was right for me. And Brook Lynn said, and I'm not judging you, but don't you judge me. Because see, I chose to have the baby and give it up for adoption. She said, that was the right choice for me. She says, but you didn't tell Dante. You didn't give him a choice. She said, because it was my choice to make. I was given the baby up for adoption. And if Dante and his family got wrapped into it, it would not have been my choice to make anymore. So I did what was right for me. And what Lulu said something else, and I'm like, Lulu, you hypocrite. She goes, but I told Dylan. Oh no, Lulu's telling half the story. She told Dylan, yes. Tracy knew, yes. They begged her. The whole family begged Lulu to have that baby because it's a Quartermaine. And they would take care of it. And Lulu was like, no, I don't want to be pregnant. This was a mistake. I don't want to be a mother. So I'm having an abortion. So, yes, she told Dylan, but ultimately it was still her choice to make. And what Brook Lynn is saying, this was my choice to make. Now, there's arguments about it. I mean, if you want to give it up for adoption, let the 16-year-old father of the baby know. I mean, but she and her mother, she made the decision. Her mother assisted her. So it was something that mother and daughter agreed upon, right? If Lois truly wanted the family to know, she would have said, Brookie, it's only right. I mean, we know the Falconeries. May not be right for you, but it might be right for them. Especially with Olivia. Olivia would have been a 30-year-old grandmother, 31 grandmother, right? But anyway, you know what Lulu said? You either tell Dante that he has a son out there and you have been lying to him all of this time. Well, that's an understatement. She has not been lying to Dante about anything. Dante never came to her and said, Brook Lynn, you know that one night stand we had at camp? Did you get pregnant? Because we didn't use protection. And then she looked at him and say, no, Dante, I didn't. That would be lying to Dante. But Dante didn't see her for a whole nother year. Or remember, he said he didn't see Brook Lynn for a long, long time. Because she went on tour with her mother in Brook Lynn, probably just made sure that she stayed away from him for, the families didn't do the big family functions, or she just didn't attend them at that time after she gave the baby up for adoption. But anyway, Lulu's forcing her hand. So now we know next week, excuse me, y'all. Dante's going to find out. Gio, no, they're not going to know about Gio yet. Wait a minute. That is in the notes. Maybe Lulu didn't get to take pictures of all the notes, because Lois definitely told Martin that the child is living in the house. He's an adult now. So, yikes. We'll find out exactly how much, because she would have said, and you are living with your son, because she would have just assumed that you living with your son, knowing he your son, but Dante don't know. See, Lulu would have spilled those beans too, because she is that spiteful and that vindictive. She truly is. Now we have Carly sees Brennan briefly. He shows up at Bobby's and she was walking in and she sits down and they're talking. And she was just saying, Jack, our lives are just too different. We want different things. She goes, you have a unattached, casual, no commitment life. She says, that's not my life. I have commitments and it's not just casual anymore. She goes, you blow up things for a living, and handle dangerous, desperate situations. And she goes, and I understand. Look, I understand that. My level of, like her family life is just not in his lifestyle. And he goes, but it could be, Carly. I want you. And I'm thinking, no, Jack, it couldn't be. Carly is right about that. But what she is unrealistic about is what Jason warned her. Why are you even getting involved with him? You know who he is and you know what he does. What are you doing, Carly? But see, Jack could do the things Carly needed at the time. So she kept going to Jack, I need your help. I need your help. And now that Jack is chasing after her, making more of, they've gotten closer, she's like, no, our lifestyles are too different. I'm like, girl, your son ain't out that clinic yet. You might need to suck it up because all of a sudden they could get a call from Germany saying that they're closing the facility or they can no longer treat Michael. So play those cards carefully, Carly. All right. Because you've done worse. You may want to do him for a few months. Okay. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, everybody, right? So now, last but not least, I'm going to talk about Jordan. Isaiah shows up. He had accidentally bumped into her delivery guy outside and ruined her lunch takeout order. She came to the door with a little face mask on and thinking it was her delivery person, although you come to the door to get delivery looking like that. Well, who cares, right? You ain't trying to impress no delivery person. But it was Isaiah, and she's like, "Wait, what are you doing here?" So he just kind of looks at her, and she runs, and next she's taking the facial mask off, and she comes out, and she's saying, "Isaiah, what are you doing here?" He goes, "I want to know, do you want to have lunch with me?" She goes, "I've already ordered lunch. It's on its way." He says, "It was on its way. I bumped into your takeout guy." And when I say bumped into, I mean literally bumped into. Everything spilled on the ground, right? And she's like, "What? I was looking forward to that," right? So anyway, he says, you know, he could make, he goes, let me cook for you. She goes, "You cook." He goes, "Yes, I can cook." And she goes, "I don't have nothing in my house that you could make a meal with. I order takeout." And you know what? It's just her. I could understand that. So he goes, "You know what? Let me see what you have in there and I'll see what I can whip up." Well, magically, he was able to whip up some kind of pasta dish that looked dry as it wanted to be, but I guess okay, right? And so she was saying that, he was saying, remember how you said that, um, yeah, in public, they couldn't be together, but they could, in private, they could explore and see where it would go. And so she says, "But this is not how I envisioned it to be. I'm in sweats. I have no makeup on. I, I look a mess." And he goes, "I can go home, do a couple of hours, or I could go home, do a couple hours of workout, come back here all sweaty." Right? And so she looked at him, she goes, "I have a better idea. There are other ways that you could get sweaty." And I was like, "Oh, go, Jordan." So they're kissing, right? And they take a break or they stop kissing, and he has to bring up Sidwell. She goes, "Jordan, I understand, you said that Sidwell can't." She goes, "No, Isaiah, Sidwell cannot know." And he says, "I understand that. And I've told you how dangerous he is." She goes, "And I understand that too." He goes, "But Jordan, I have to ask, why is it you have to do this?" She goes, "What do you mean?" She goes, "The PCPD are looking into Sidwell. The WSB is looking into Sidwell. Why you? Why does it have to be you?" And she looked at him. She says, "Isaiah, are you having a problem with it? Because I am looking into Sidwell. That's non-negotiable. I'm doing this." And if you are going to have a problem with this, then you need to, I think you said get out, not get out now as in leave her house, but you need to walk away right now because I am doing this. And he's like, well, no, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm trying to get you to stop. She goes, but I need you to seriously think, can you handle this? Because this is what I'm going to do. So we'll see. Because to me, he can't handle it. But he's 100% right. I don't know what Jordan really thinks she's going to do. Because when Jordan was police commissioner, she didn't solve any cases either. Did she find TJ? I think that's probably the only thing she did when her son was kidnapped by Cyrus. I think she did find him. Was it with the help of Jason or Sonny? Something happened. That's probably the only thing she did do right or solve because her son's life was on the line. So then they showed Josslyn. And you know what? It's looking like it was suiting Josslyn well. She had been up for 48 hours. And I'm thinking, girl, what? It showed her when it first showed her, she was in a room alone. And a guy walks in and said, okay, Josslyn John Jackson. I'm thinking, I don't remember her middle name being John. Why would Carly name her Josslyn John Jax? I don't remember that. Anybody in comment corner land, do you remember that? So he says, are you ready? And he throws her some gear. She goes, yeah. So then they're sparring and he's her trainer and he's trying to teach her. He goes, I read your file. Father's a billionaire. Mother owns a hotel. Oh, so you just, privileged, can have pretty much anything you want. What are you doing here? And they're sparring. And she's doing pretty good, right? And she goes, because I want to be here. Because I want to make a difference. And what did she say? I want to right some wrong. Whatever Jack Brennan and her were talking about, she said, he goes, you know what? And he put his hands down. He goes, you need to walk out that door now. And she's like, why? He goes, because that's idealistic thinking. And everybody that comes in here with idealistic thinking, they either get killed and she goes, what's wrong with idealistic thinking? He goes, because sometimes you have to do what you have to do within that moment. And it has nothing to do with your idealistic thinking. He says, so you should leave now. And she goes, you know what? For one thing, I'm not leaving now at all. So we can continue to train. So they're training and he drops her, flips her over, drops her. And she goes, he says, rule number 1, you got to fight dirty. So he picks her up off the mat, puts his hand down. She puts her hand up. He picks her up and they're doing it again. And he sweeps her legs out from under him. Rule number 2, he told her something and she's just looking at him. So she gets back up and they're getting ready. They're sparring some more. And he says something about you have to do what you have to do, or you have to to be unexpected. Something she said. Josslyn hauled off and kicked him in the groin real hard. And he dropped like a sack of potatoes. And she said, is that dirty enough for you? It was so funny because she kind of leaned over him like he was leaning over her there, but she didn't lean down that far. Right? And I'm like, go ahead, Josslyn. I'm liking it. I'm liking her as a junior agent in training. But anyway, and then the last thing, Dante did go talk to Sonny. And Sonny is worried that Gio from what Tracy said, that Gio now doesn't want his support, and he's been supporting him for years. And Dante said, Sonny, I doubt Tracy is going to be able to influence him. Uh, he goes, yeah, but she just might. And he goes, Sonny, I'm here. I'm not influenced by what Tracy says. Um, Christina's here. She's not influenced by what anybody says. And he goes, yeah, but I don't know what Michael thinks now. He goes, uh, no matter what happened, Michael still loves you, Sonny. And Carly had come by to tell Sonny that Michael called her. He physically made a phone call to her to tell him no, to tell her he is making progress. It's going slow, but he's definitely making progress. So Sonny was so happy to hear that. And so she goes, yeah, she goes, day by day. And he goes, next time Michael calls, can you tell him I love him? She says, sure, I sure will. Right. So, but when she got there, Lois was there. Lois was there to tell Sonny, but don't let what Tracy says, you know, uh, uh, she was wrong. What she says doesn't matter. Sonny don't, and he's just like, well, Lois, what do you think? How do you feel that my money is going to ultimately cause Gio harm? And she says, no, I don't, Sonny. She says, from the time I called you and told you about Gio, explained his circumstance to you, you've always been there for him. He goes, well, I mean, he's like family. And she says, so no, I don't feel the way Tracy feels at all. And then Lois had a little argument with Ned because, Ned don't like Sonny. Except when he was 80 Maine, he liked him. But, Ned don't like Sonny. And Lois said, I should never have spoken to you about Sonny because I know how you feel. And he says, you know what, Lois, what I don't understand is, how Sonny gets his money. You even years ago, when after he was an investor in LMB, you were trying to get him out. She says, yeah, that's until after auditing all the money that he had invested in LMB, it all was clean. She says, Sonny does have legitimate businesses. All the money he's put into deception, all that money is clean, Ned. So what he's doing for Gio is a good thing. So no, I'm for that, right? So anyway, of course they didn't agree, but I don't know why she talked to him about it to begin with. But anyway, that's all that happened. That was everything. It wasn't no cliffhanger Friday, but that pretty much was it. So I'll be back on Monday. Oh, Comment Corner. Oh my goodness. Comment Corner. Almost forgot about it. Going from the middle down, let me start my trusty dusty stopwatch for 7 minutes. I went all the way, scroll, stopped. Wherever it stopped, and here we go. Dacia says Tracy Quartermain. Let me make sure that is where. Yeah. Tracy Quartermain, well, you must be better be careful. Just because Monica doesn't come downstairs anymore, wait until Tracy and Ned and Olivia and Sonny Corinthos and Dante find out that Brook Lynn has a son. Dante's the father. Yeah. And Melody says, then they should find out Lulu's aborted a Quartermain. No, they know. They know. Tracy was with Luke, and Tracy begged her that we will take care of this baby. And Luke told her, whatever he called her, Sport or whatever her name was, this is your decision. Drown out the noise from what the court, because she lived at the Quartermain house. Drown out the noise. And what do you want? And I'm going to stand by you whatever your decision is, Lulu. And he was the one that took her to the drove her to the abortion clinic, and he waited outside until it was done, and he drove her home. Yeah. So no, the Quartermains already know that. And it was after that, after the abortion, is when Dylan actually left town. He left the show, he left shortly after to go to LA to try to be in film school or something like that. Melody says, I'm not against the right to choose. It's the right to privacy I take offense of. The right to privacy. What part of the right to privacy that you take offense of? Dorothy says, on point with Lulu. Care Bear says, Lulu is just a spoiled brat. If Brook Lynn had a child, it's not her business. She better take care of Rocco. I know. LaShunter says she just told Dante she's jealous of Brook Lynn. Yep, she sure did. Care Bear says, maybe for now, Sidwell just wants to ruin Sonny. I don't know. Alexis is coming into play with that. Care Bear says Sidwell points out to Natalia that right now the person who's interested in the person who's interested in Sonny is her, not him. I know he did say that, right? P. Merle said, I didn't appreciate the way Tracy spoke to Sonny. Since when does she run Gio's life? Never, not at all. That was out of left field. As a matter of fact, Tracy took offense to them moving Gio into the house. Okay. Luke and Sonny were best friends. She better recognize. Luke also single-handedly wiped out the Cassadines. Good for Gio for respecting his Uncle Sonny in spite of. Black Purple Turquoise says Tracy's past can just as easily be brought up, like she had the nerve to stand there throwing Sonny's back in his face. Yeah. She best remember that. Gio is also 21 or older, so she has absolutely no business trying to authorize what he can and cannot sign. Like, give him to me. No, I will see him for not, please. And for whom he does or does not sign something. I love Tracy when she goes on those who deserve her wrath, like Drew and Willow, but Sonny and the others, like Dante, Brook Lynn, etc., doesn't deserve her attitude. And Sasha doesn't deserve it either. And she best scale it back with that for sure. And then Denzel says, I get everything that Tracy told Sonny about Sonny and Jason, but bringing up Karen in his face and his past just be pissing me off. Yeah, we already knew that what Sonny did to Karen, and but he owned up to it. Plus, he'd been waiting and signing up for Gio's tuition, aka his grandson's, since he was 12 years old. Plus, I love that Gio and Tracy are opening up to each other in their scenes too. Yeah, that's true. And then Denzel, you go on to talk about Lulu and some of the other scenes. Great comment, Denzel. Great comment. Care Bear says, is it the dagger Helena used to kill Alexis's mother? Ends up being it. And Julian threatened her. Oh, he threatened her with that dagger? And then Melody says, yes, indeed. And Lucy said, ditto. Sewing room says double ditto. Lucy, the sewing room, that dagger, who has its own Wikipedia? Oh, I know, huh? I'm telling you, I could have swore she killed Luis Alcazar with that dagger. Alexis did. It was fun to be back in Windermere today. Love the dagger scene with Alexis and Sidwell. Can it be the dagger Helena used to kill Alexis' mother? Question mark. Yeah, it was. Helena. We found that out today. Dacia says Drew's obsessed with Willow. wait until Sonny, Carithos, and Carly, and Jason, and Tracy, and Ned, all of them find out that Drew's the one that put a bomb in Sonny's apartment. I don't know about that. That's a stretch. And Michael was burned because of him. Sonny, Corinthos, and Carly Spencer, and Jason Morgan will hunt Drew down. His time is running out. Drew putting that bomb, I say that's a no-go. Drew would not do that. Dacia says Willow would be the one who will tell Carly and Jason and Sonny that Drew did it. Willow will definitely turn against Drew. Now, you guys are going on a whole different storyline. She'll have nothing to do with Drew anymore. Black Purple Turquoise said, it isn't Drew. I'm with you, Black Purple Turquoise. It isn't Drew. The target was Sonny, but Michael just so happened to be in the way. I still say it was Sidwell who planted it. As far as I'm concerned for now, he lied right to Jason's face and said it wasn't him. I don't believe that for a second. Plus, Willow, no victim. Even if Drew was the one who did it, she'd still stay with him and claim he did it because he loved me. This girl is that mentally cultified and just flat out a puppet with no brain of her own at all. Both she and Drew are purely irredeemable to me. And then we have Melody says, I hope so. Drew's is icky now. Care Bear says Drew is both evil and manipulative, bad combo. Right on, he is, and they turned that character into that, but whatever. Drew didn't have a story before. Realistically, he didn't. Anyway, everybody, that's it for Friday's daily recap of General Hospital. I will be back on a Monday.